There is no way that I'm picking this up. Not a chance.
Middex. And I'm very much my bookshelf collect. No. A is for nope.
Hey, look, I got some of it. Yay! Don't fall. Don't fall. Don't fall. Don't fall. Don't fall. We're good.
Hey fellow fiction fanatics, I'm Chase. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited because I'm going to be doing the A-Z Bookish Survey, which was originally done by Perpetual Page Turner. So I'll link their video down in the description. I also thought, since I'm learning ASL, I'd teach you guys how to sign the alphabet. Alright, let's get into it. So first we have A, which is when you do a fist and have your thumb pointed outward. And A is for author. Which author have you read the most from? For me, that would have to be Rick Riordan. So here I have the first books in all the series that I own. I've got The Lightning Thief, The Red Pyramid, The Lost Hero, The Sword of Summer, and The Hidden Oracle. I love Rick Riordan. He's definitely one of my all-time favorite authors, and he's the one I've read the most from. B is for Best Sequel. So for that, I have to pick Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. I love the arc of the Scythe trilogy. It is one of my favorites, and this second book is phenomenal. It had me on the edge of my seat. This ending was just crazy, and this is one of the best sequels I have ever read, and it is my favorite of the trilogy. Please pick up this trilogy if you have not read it yet, because it is just that good. C, which looks like this from the side, but you have your hand facing forward. C is for currently reading, and I am currently reading Slay by Brittany Morris. D, which looks like this from the side, is for drink of choice. I don't really snack or eat when I'm reading, so I don't really have an answer for this, but I guess water or lemonade? I don't know. E is e-reader or physical book. Personally, I enjoy reading more from a physical book than an ebook, so that's what I'm going to go with. F is for a fictional character that you would have probably dated in high school, and I would have to say Percy Jackson, and I did. My husband is very much like Percy Jackson, and we were dating in high school. He's actually the one who introduced me to the Percy Jackson world, and we would constantly talk about how he was so much like Percy Jackson. So we have Percy Jackson and Annabeth Chase. Next we have G, which is when your fingers are pinched together like this, and then it's faced this way. So for G we have Glad You Gave It a Chance. For this one I'm picking The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. I really enjoyed this, and I'm very glad that I gave it a shot because I was incredibly intimidated by it and didn't know if I'd really enjoy this, but this book was so intriguing and I thoroughly enjoyed this book, so I'm very glad that I gave this a chance. Next up we have H, which is when you have two fingers and it's to the side. H is for Hidden Gem, and I'm picking Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I think everyone needs to read this book. It is just absolutely stunning. It needs to be read, and I loved it so much. Everyone needs to pick it up and give it a chance because it is really touching and sweet. I'm so happy that I read it and own it. So that's my pick for Hidden Gem. I is for Important Moment in My Reading Life. So I have two books for this. The first is The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. This is the book that got me into reading and showed me the magic of books. It was the first book that I was just really immersed in and could picture myself with these characters. I just fell in love with this story and these characters, and I really wouldn't be a reader without this. So I'm very thankful to this book. When I first read this, I was still incredibly intimidated by book size, and it wasn't until I actually read Twilight that I got over my fear of big books, because I was able to fly through Twilight and I realized I could actually read big books, and I didn't think I could, so I'm thankful to Twilight as well. So these are two books that definitely were important moments in my reading life. Next up we have J, which is when you take your pinky and make the shape of J in the air. So J. So for J we have Just Finished, and the book I just finished is Scarlet, which is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. This is another one of my favorite series, and I'm super excited that I'm doing a reread of this. I just love that I'm getting to be back with these characters that I love so much, and I'm seeing all the foreshadowing and the little jokes and hints that we get along the way that I didn't get the first time. So I'm so excited to be reading this series again. K is when you have 2 fingers and your thumb in between. And K is for kinds of books you won't read. I don't read smut. I don't like sex scenes. I don't read horror because I'm the biggest scaredy cat there is, and I don't have to deal with that. And I don't like sad books, like intensely sad books. I know that I will never read A Little Life. Not happening. There's no way. My heart would break into a million pieces and I'd never be able to put myself back together again. 3 books that are sad that I've actually enjoyed are 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, Mickey Daughtry, and Tobias Iakonis, and Dear Evan Hansen by Val Emmett, Stephen Levinson, Benj Pasek, and Justin Paul. And they both die at the end. I guess you know they're going to be sad when they're all dark blue, but I actually really did enjoy all 3 of these, even though they are quite sad. But I think it's because each of these has a glimmer of hope at the end, rather than just utter sadness. So those are the kinds of books that I don't read. I'd love to know what kinds of books you don't read down in the comments. L is for longest book that you've read. The longest book that I have read is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. I really love the Throne of Glass series, and this is definitely the biggest book I've ever read, coming at a whopping total of 980 pages. So I've never broken 1,000 pages, but eventually I will. So M is done in 2 ways. You can either have it like this, where your thumb is after your ring finger, or you can have your fingers straight out. I've seen it done both ways. M is a book that gave you a major book hangover. And I would definitely have to say that The Burning Maze gave me a huge book hangover. I felt like I was in shock after this book because I did not think that's how it was going to end. I should have seen it coming. It was laid out for us, but I didn't think Rick Riordan would actually do it. So I was very shocked, and I literally didn't pick up another book for 3 days, and it's probably the reason I haven't finished this series yet, because I'm very worried with how this is going to end. I'm hoping it's good, but I'm very intimidated, and it's all because of this book. N, again, is done in 2 ways, pretty much the same as M, but now we have 2 fingers rather than 3, so M and N. And like M, you can have your fingers down or straight out. Again, I've seen it both ways. And N is for number of bookcases you own, and I have 3, 2 that hold books and 1 that holds my board game collection. O, which is like this from the side, O is for 1 book that you've read multiple times. The book I've read multiple times is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Angie Thomas is one of my all-time favorite authors, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading Concrete Rose, so I'm very excited to get to that one as well. Next we have P, which is the same hand shape as K, except now your hand is face down. And P is for preferred place to read. And my favorite place to read is my little chair over here. Next up we have Q, which is the same hand shape as G, except now it's face down. Q is for a quote that inspires you. I literally write down quotes that I love on my phone, and this list goes on for days. I kid you not. It is insanely long. I could keep going. I really could. But I'm not gonna go through all of these, but I will read one that sticks out to me. And this one is from Never Forever by L.R. Johnson. And the quote says, "Life has a strange way of showing us that incredible happiness can come from the darkest nights, if only we have the strength to persevere and choose to fight for what we deserve." I just love that quote. I think it is so empowering and it makes me happy. There are so many amazing quotes, and I'd love to know some of your favorite quotes down in the comments. So next we have R, which is where you cross your fingers like this, and R is for reading regret. And my biggest reading regret, I hate the book so much that I will not say the name. It is by Ernest Hemingway. I had to read it for a 9-week summer assignment. 9 weeks is the whole summer. We had weekly assignments for this book. It was utterly atrocious. All my friends who had to read it agreed. There was no plot. This book was just bad. He could go on and on for no reason. He could probably go on for at least 3 pages just to say the coffee was cold. Also, he wouldn't tell you who was talking. I know you shouldn't say said a bunch of times when giving dialogue, but it was like, Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm doing fine. What are you doing tomorrow? I'm going to the store. That's great. Maybe I'll join you. And then the three of them walked away. There were three people talking there? Why? This is when you need to tell us who's saying what. And the piece de resistance is that I didn't end up taking the class. So I just had to suffer through reading that book for no reason. We all hated it. It was bad. No one liked it. Why did we read it? I don't know. I will not tell you the name of the book, but I will tell you I will never read an Ernest Hemingway again. Nope, not gonna happen. Next up is S, where you make a fist and have your thumb in the front. And S is for series you started that you need to finish. And a series that I read that I need to finish is the Cursebreaker trilogy. The first book is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I've read the first two and I'm very excited to get to the third one because I need to know what is going on and how everything is going to come together. And I'm very much looking forward to finishing this trilogy. Next we have T, which is where you have your thumb between your index and middle finger. And T stands for 3 of your all-time favorite books. So for this I picked Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. Elizabeth Acevedo is one of my all-time favorite authors, and I love all of her books. Then I have Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. This is a fabulous book about friends, and I would definitely recommend picking this up, especially if you are into fandoms and Comic-Con like I am. This was so good, and I absolutely recommend it to everyone because it is fantastic, pun intended. And the third book is one that I just read this year, but is now one of my all-time favorites, and I can't wait to see what happens next. And that is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Wow, was this good. I was expecting to like this, but I loved it. And if you haven't read it yet, please pick it up. It blew me out of the water, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Then we have U, which is where you have your index and middle finger pointed up. And for U, we have Unapologetic Fangirl 4. And I would have to say that I am a unapologetic fangirl for the Throne of Glass series. And I recommend reading The Assassin's Blade first. I really enjoy this series. Is it the best series out there? No. But do I love these books and this story and these characters? Absolutely. So whether you agree with me or not, I enjoy these books. And I think they're great. V stands for very excited for this new release, and for that I'm going to pick The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This book was originally going to come out in 2020, but then, 2020 happened, so I'm super excited that it is finally going to be released in 2021, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then we have W, because in ASL W is like this, 3 is like this, so 3W. And W stands for Worst Bookish Habit. For me, my worst bookish habit is that I take forever to actually buy books. Not the worst problem to have, but still a problem because I love a book and then I take forever to actually get it. So that's just me. And then we have X. I have no idea why this is X, but this is X. And X stands for X marks the spot. So I'm going to find the 27th book on my shelf, and then we're going to talk about it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So the 27th book on my shelves is the last book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, which is The Royal Ranger by John Flanagan. I can't say too much because this is the last book, but in this book, we follow Will, and he is now an adult, and it is his turn to take on an apprentice. So that's all I'm going to say for this one, but this series is really great. It's one of my favorites, and I would definitely recommend picking this up if you haven't read it yet. Next we have Y, which is like hang loose, and Y stands for your last book purchase, which for me is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This book is a prequel to The Hate U Give and follows Maverick, who is Star's father, and I'm excited to read this and learn more about Maverick. I love Angie Thomas, and I will read anything and everything she writes. She is definitely one of my all-time favorite authors, and I can't wait to get to this one. And lastly, we have Z, and like J, you just draw in the air, but this time we're using our index finger, so Z, and Z is for Z Snatcher, the last book that you stayed up way too late to finish. And for me, that would have to be The Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is the second book in the Strange the Dreamer duology. This is just wow, this series is amazing. If you do pick this up, I would definitely recommend having the second book on hand because that ending, wow. But I loved every minute of reading these, and I just had to know how it was gonna end and stayed up way too late to finish this, but I'm so glad that I did and that I have these two in my collection because they are fantastic and I really love them. And those are all my answers for the A-Z Bookish Survey. If you haven't done this video and you want to, I tag you to do this video. I'd love to know how you'd answer these questions, so let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to share the love. I'll see you next time. Bye!